Hello and welcome to the third Mack Welding 4x4 video, and as we promised you, slight varying content. You did see it slightly in the last video, but we are going to be doing a video on this, a 2007 TDCI. This one came in originally just for a health check and some HD steering bars, and we've sort of put it up on the ramp, took a brief look around to turn out that it was probably one of the worst chassis I've seen in a long time. Lots of sort of fiberglass and put in, just covering and hiding lots of really bad issues. There are actually photos of it on the Mack Welding page if you want to take a look. So anyway, it turned into having basically a full rebuild. So as you can see, it's quite clean, quite shiny. As it sits now, very different to how it came in here. We could do a quick little walk around, have a look at some exterior bits. There are some bits which are unfortunately still on back order for this, headlights and some other bits and pieces under the engine bay, but we'll come back around to that. On this one, there were the normal sort of things, you know, hinges drop in, all that sort of thing. So obviously when that happens, I know it's a lot of money, but you can't fault the quality of the optimal hinges. So we've got optimal hinges on both doors. We've got the security ones on the bonnet. And then if you come around to the back, we've also got the ones on the back door as well. And it's just, you go and fit them on the doors and then you merely open and shut the door, and it is just night and day the difference. It's absolutely incredible. So obviously you can see the Galv chassis is a Richards Galv chassis, beautiful chassis. Obviously carried it on, all the extra bits and pieces are all Galv, so all the mud flat brackets are Galv and everything. And on this one, we converted over to 13-pin trailer electrics, and rather than sitting on the bracket that was here that sort of folds and it always goes rusty and breaks off, we put it in there to sort of keep it neatly out of the way, can't really hit it and whatnot. Works quite well. Coming around, you'll also notice down here that it has also got one of our custom 3-inch exhausts. This is straight through exhaust. We will be firing it up a bit later on to sort of let you hear it, and then hopefully again later on, we'll also do a bit of a drive and get the full experience of it. But yeah, I think probably now, best thing, stick it on the ramp and take a look underneath. As you can see from the underneath, very much different to the top side. Obviously, the top was very much sort of original with a few sort of add-on bits and pieces here and there. But the underneath is sort of where the customer really wants to sort of leave his mark. So obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of the Kawasaki sort of green color going on. As I said earlier at the beginning of the video, this was obviously a very, very rusty one. So all the extra sort of bolt-on bits and pieces were not really usable again. So things like obviously tank cradle was nowhere near usable. So they obviously put a galvanized one in, obviously to go with everything else being galvanized. Same as down the side, we've had to replace the seal rails. They're galvanized as well. If you actually come around the side here, you'll be able to see the cover and the mounting bracket for the fuel filter. That had to be replaced because the other one literally didn't exist. That's YRM product, great product, fits really, really well. As you can see there, had to replace the seals, again, YRM. But yeah, if we come back around to the back, you'll see across the rear axle, Pioneer brake lines as always, in the right color, just to match in with everything. Same as we've got, I mean, that's the full Pioneer line all the way down. If you come through here, you'll be able to see the Pioneer breathers as well for the axle. So both front axle, rear axle, and transfer box Pioneer lines obviously fit absolutely beautifully, all clip in very neatly. You know, they're all on, dusted, never have to sort of worry about that again. Obviously, springs, again, very, very rusty. So replaced all the springs all the way around. And for the shocks, we've gone for the old man Emu shocks. Great shocks, and I'm sure a lot of you will probably agree. They're the ones to go for. I mean, obviously, some people go for the Fox or for the Bilsteins, but for this, we decided to go for the old man Emus. Coming forwards, come up to sort of transfer box. Obviously, with the MT82, the output shaft is normally an issue. So, as we do with everything, replace it with the loft output shaft, same as we did the loft clutch on this. And also, we've got the loft rear shaft. Get rid of that rattle. Never an issue again for the future. Don't have to worry about it. It's done. If you come forward, you'll see all the powder coated parts. With it, it's just, the customer basically uses this vehicle day in, day out to go in fields, woodlands. This is his works vehicle for his dogs. So this probably won't look anywhere near this clean ever again. But when it does come to jet washing it all off, it'll all clean back and look exactly like this, because this has all been blasted and powder coated, so the powder coat sticks to it and it will stay to it. It won't flake off or anything like that. This will certainly last. On the front end, we had, when it all came apart, the swivels, we noticed they were extremely pitted. So we've replaced those. Strange enough, it had solid discs on as well. So again, we've replaced them with the vented and the vented calipers. Obviously, you can see all the Pioneer lines going into that and going all the way up. Up at the front, obviously the HD bars, like I said. We've also got the Old Man Emu steering damper there to match in with the whole setup. So this thing's going to drive absolutely incredibly. And obviously, if you didn't notice as we were coming through the video, we've got the full 3-inch exhaust there as well, straight through. Obviously, with the quick release self-aligning V-bands. So, you could pretty much have the whole exhaust off within sort of 30 seconds, to be honest. And the other thing I didn't mention is on the front side of this exhaust, we didn't leave the standard turbo in. We've upgraded that. And of course, when you upgrade a turbo, there's not really much other choice, in our opinion, apart from a CR turbo. So obviously, this has got to go off now for the customer to have back. He's going to bed the clutch in, do the good 500 miles to bed the clutch in properly. And then once that's bed in, it's going to have the map, and it's going to be very different. And hopefully, for the second part of the video, which you'll see, it's going to go well. And you'll also be able to hear quite how good this exhaust sounds for a TDCI. Right, so it's been 2 weeks since the first part of the video. We've got the truck back because all the parts we were waiting for are now here. We fitted them all today. Come take a look. It's probably fairly obvious which parts they were, as it's probably the brightest parts. So basically, we're waiting on the coolant and intercooler hoses from Roost Motorsport. They took a little bit longer because it's not necessarily a standard colour that they keep on the shelf, so it was all made to order. But obviously, like I said, with the colour scheme that's going on underneath, it all just sort of blended in well, had to be done. I mean, there were actually a couple of pipes that when we took it all apart were actually chafing. So it kind of makes sense to then, the whole thing, just future-proofing it, no issues, no problems, and everything fitted beautifully. And again, not to everyone's taste, but it goes with the whole build. The other thing which you can probably spot back in the back corner there is there's the triple pipes there from Pioneer coming up. They're the breather lines. And they all kind of come up in the bay, meet lovely, fit perfectly, normal sort of thing from Pioneer. Round this side, you can only just about see it, but the big turbo from CR Turbos is down there, which is what's going to give it these little extra ponies. And again, up here, we've got the Ali Sport goodies. So we've got the coolant reservoir. Over on the right-hand side, we've got the power steering reservoir. What you can't quite see behind there is obviously there's the full front mount radiator, intercooler to give it all that fresh cold air, keep the motor cool. With this, as with most of our builds, we like to do something a little bit different to add our sort of stamp onto it, so to speak. And for those that do know what the underside of a TDCI bonnet looks like, they're a little bit ugly in comparison to a lot of them in the sort of Land Rover world. So we decided to make an engine cover. Bit different, I know. You're either going to love it or hate it, I think. And I'm sure in the comments I'm going to find out. But like I say, it's just something a bit different for us. And we just felt like doing it. This has, in those 2 weeks, the customer has had this back. He's done 650 miles in it. Absolutely loved every single mile, constantly changing gear, listen to that sort of roar of the exhaust with kind of the almost angry owl noise as you come off to change gear. So the loft clutch that was in there, obviously they specify a 500-mile bed and in period before you really give it any grief sort of thing, which he's done perfectly. So now this one's pretty much set now, finished, and it's now fully ready to have its map to really give it that extra bit of power. And obviously, like I say, it's got everything going for it to help with that power. So it should be fairly interesting, that's for sure. But as far as this build goes, I think that's probably about as much. There's obviously going to be photos of this on the Mack Welding 4x4 Facebook page, so you can go back, take another look, or look a bit more closely at these things. But yeah, I hope you've liked the video, and as always with the end of these ones, like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.